Okay, so for today's video, I'm going to be showing you the top 6 shows with the most voice impressions. And I will tell you how many there are, and at the end, I will tell you how many of my voice impressions there are just from those 6 combined. And before you ask, it would be 1,360 on the total amount of voice impressions across all the shows and YouTubers and even people I know in real life that I can do. So, now, let's go for this. Paw Patrol. Of course, no one should be surprised at this taking first place for me. Not only because of how often it's aired on Nick Jr. and the Nick Jr. block on Nickelodeon, but also because it's my favorite show. With 63 voices that I can do. On to second place, shall we? Cuckoo Haruku. Of course, I like the reaction of my friends in school. They're not shocked whatsoever, even if it's a show targeted towards females. It's like, why should we be shocked? Like, that's their reaction, pretty much. With this show, at 60 voice impressions, 60 of them. And with Paw Patrol at 63, you can see how close Cuckoo Haruku is to Paw Patrol in voice impressions. Also, if you are wondering, Paw Patrol, I started getting voice impressions in 2022, with my first 3 in that year, and now here I am at 63. And Cuckoo Haruku, I just started this year. So, yeah, I guess I've been watching too much of Cuckoo Haruku, and here we are. Okay, on to third place. Phineas and Ferb, of course. And yes, I'm doing one of the voices right now, being Phineas. And if you are wondering, the total amount of voices I have from this show comes to a count of 39. Why drop so much from Cuckoo Haruku to being 65%? I don't know. Although, doesn't it sound kind of like a reference to Disney TV's rule of 65 episodes? I don't know. But, on to the next one, shall we? Okay, let's go. Mother Goose Club, of course, it being at a total of... Okay. It's a total of 31 voices. Yeah, I guess you could kind of say it's trying to compete with Phineas and Ferb, but not to the level of Cuckoo Haruku going up against Paw Patrol. Which is kind of ironic about how Paw Patrol versus Cuckoo Haruku, due to the whole Nick Jr. situation that they had to deal with. Although, for Mother Goose Club, and if you are wondering about which gender most of my voice impressions are, for Paw Patrol and Phineas and Ferb, of course, being male, because, well, most of the characters are boys in those shows anyways, although surprisingly female for both Mother Goose Club and Cuckoo Haruku. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, next up, Dora the Explorer, of course, which this one has a score of 28. Yeah, and this is the 5th place holder. Mostly male characters, the main, protagonist, of course, being Dora as a female. It just kind of makes it weird when that case with Dora the Explorer being mostly male characters, and then meanwhile Cuckoo Haruku and Mother Goose Club have mostly female characters on my vocal range, and they all seem to be associated, like the whole thing about gender stereotypes. Like most people would most likely say that mostly females should be watching Dora the Explorer, not any boys or anything like that, but it's like, I don't think that should matter. I really don't think that should matter. Now, if it's the network's decision to make it targeted towards a certain gender, then fair, but when it's not doing that, then I don't see the point. Anyway, on to our next show. Okay. Now on to our next show. Yep, Bubble Guppies. With Bubble Guppies being at a total of, I think it's supposed to be 15 voice impressions. Wait, now I remember, it's at 19 right now. Very close to trying to compete with Dora and Mother Goose Club, but like if the whole, like you can see like these little gaps as if they were trying to compete with one another in a way. Anyway, that's it for my top 6 voice impression count. Although before I go, if you're wondering what gender is mostly there for voice impressions from this show, mostly male characters, just like Paw Patrol, Phineas and Ferb, and Dora the Explorer did. So, later. Oh, wait, before I go, one last time, okay? Let's add them all up. So, just from Paw Patrol and Cuckoo Haruku, that's 123. Then add Phineas and Ferb, bringing it up to 162. So yeah, more than 10% already from the top 3. And then add, let's see, let's add in Mother Goose Club, which is at 31, which brings it up to 167. Then add Dora the Explorer, which brings it up to 195. Then add Bubble Guppies being the last one, which results in 214 of my voices just being from these 6 shows. 214 of them. Just from these 6. Anyway, later.